Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Where okay, I'm sure we are set to go, Chris. So let me start. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are watching us from. Welcome to another edition of the Leadership Time Leadership Talk Show brought to you by the Global Leadership Group. We're excited that you could join us this evening, this morning, this afternoon. Please, if you are here with us, kindly drop your name and where you are watching us from so that we can acknowledge you, give you the GLD welcome as usual. My name is Patricia, and we are blessed to have three amazing leadership experts who will help us discuss the topic leadership and technology. Somebody saw the flyer and told me, wow, this would be a very interesting topic. And I said, don't miss it for anything in the world. So welcome, drop your at the comment section and let's welcome you um, properly. Right, so I'm going to introduce my guests. I see that Dr. Francisca, I see the doctor first. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Francisca Ifua Opoku Boateng, Doctor PhD. So it's not the doctor that is by anything, it's Doctor PhD, the proper one, right? So she is a senior cyber consultant at Ernst& Young, specializing in cyber threat management and operational technology. She holds a PhD in cyber defense. Prior to joining Ernst& Young, she served as an assistant professor of digital forensics and cybersecurity principles. Dr. Opoku Boateng's extensive research portfolio encompasses areas such as dark web and open source intelligence, investigation, cyber awareness. So anything about cybersecurity, she is an expert in that area, and she's also a leadership expert, and she actively contributes to underrepresented communities, including mentorship, ambassadorship, and participation as a speaker and presenter at numerous events. She also serves as a committee and board member, showcasing her dedication to fostering inclusivity and diversity. You know, diversity inclusion is a big deal, and technology cybersecurity is a big deal. So thank you, Doc, for accepting to do this with us. I also have Femi Adeoti. Femi, I think he affectionately is known as FA, right? So uh, he is the co-founder and group managing director for the Rodling Group. Prior to Rodling, he was the managing director, CEO, Africa operations of Inlax, a foremost information technology company. He is an alumnus of the Harvard Business School and also has an MBA in international finance from the University of Liverpool, UK. In addition, Femi has a certificate in artificial intelligence from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Femi has a first degree in electronics engineering. Oh my God, he is so loaded. And in terms of technology and leadership, he is our person. Femi, thank you so much for accepting to do this with us. And last but definitely not least, Desmond Israel. Desmond is a lawyer and data privacy information security practitioner specializing in cyber laws, global data privacy, open source intelligence gathering, and technology policy research with over a decade and a half of industry experience in cybersecurity across countries like Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and Liberia. He is the founder of Information Security Architects Limited, Rapid 7 Gold Partner in Ghana. Desmond is GW Law Merit Scholar and holds an LLM National Security and Cyber Security from George Washington University. He's passionate about the convergence between technology, law, and policy, and currently volunteers as a lead researcher for Guardian Safety Framework for the Metaverse with XR Safety Initiative in California, and an associate with Child Online Africa. Desmond, thank you so much for making the time to be here. We are grateful. So, please, if you have just joined us, this is the Leadership Talk brought to you by the Global Leadership Group, and we are discussing the topic leadership and technology. So, let's start from the basics. Let me have your view on the topic for discussion briefly. So I will start, they say ladies first, right? So I will start with Dr. Francisca. A brief view of your of the topic for discussion before we move on into the details.
Sure, Patricia. Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I just want to mention that for the purpose of this webinar or this conversation, all my views, all my comments are solely from me. It's not tied to my organization that I work for. It's not tied to anyone. It's based on my expertise and my experience. And so I just wanted to throw that out there. And also, I just wanted to also mention that currently I am a New America Share the Mic in Cyber Fellow researching in a cybersecurity space. And so just wanted to put that out. For the purpose of this panel discussion, if I should put it, I think when we talk of technology and leadership, we couldn't have found a better day to discuss this and share our opinions and views on it because it's timely. Growing up, I always say that as at the age of 6 years, my dad made me realize that technology was going to lead a drive, a reason why I happened to be in technology this time. And so what a great opportunity for us to discuss, technology and some of the leadership nuance of it. So that's a little I would say about it.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Dr. Francisca Opoku-Boateng. Desmond, can you please give us your view on the topic before I come to Femi?
Yeah, right. Well, so like Doc said, it's timely to have this conversation at this point in time. So personally, when I started off doing technology as far back as 2004, probably, not a lot of people were discussing technology, and you find it very difficult to even get leadership to even put in the budget and the buying to get some of the things that has changed how business is done today. Fast forward, if you read from Brett King when he spoke about banking 2.0, he spoke about banking, which is going to be customer centric. But then he also made the point that to make it customer centric, it means that banks are going to leave the brick and mortar and they're going to go to the customers. What do we see today? Fintech as being a disruptor to banking transactions and banking operations. So I think it's a timely topic. And I'm sure the panel has a lot to discuss.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Desmond. Femi?
Thank you, Patricia, and it's my pleasure to meet co-participants on this platform. One thing I've observed is that, this discussion is cross-continental. And I have always seen technology as a tool that can be used to bridge the gap between African nations and other more developed nations. Technology can be a tool that we can use to leapfrog. I've been in the technology industry for well over 25 years. First of all, working as a staff and also as a business owner. I've observed that technology can be an enabler that can be used to leverage development in the African continent. And that's one of the reasons why I actually got interested in this. While technology has so many of the positive side, it also has its downsides also, in the area of threats, cybersecurity challenges, and so many other things that are happening. Yes, technology, very good, can help to advance courses, but on the other side, also, there are so many trends that we have to be
I
very
don't
careful.
know if I'm the only one, but it seems Femi is breaking. Am I okay?
Oh, can you hear me now? Hello?
Right.
Femi, I could hear you. I
Femi,
think
if you
you
can
made
hear
you made the
me, I
point.
think
I can
you
also
are
hear.
breaking. Um, yes, you are
Okay.
breaking a
I-
bit, so maybe we'll come back.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it is. It is. Please continue. It is better now.
Okay, so I was saying that technology is a tool that we can use as a leverage to bridge developmental gaps. Has a lot of positive influences, but we have to also be careful of the downsides also. And I'm sure we have a panel that is quite vast and members of the panel to discuss these challenges and the opportunities today. Thank you.
Thank you, Femi. Thank you so much. If you have just joined us, this is the Leadership Talk brought to you by the Global Leadership Group. My name is Patricia Abnakisi. I am here with my co host, Happy Anoche Sapon. Those who joined the previous time, you saw Happy. She led the discussion or she moderated the discussion. Happy, yeah, happy to have you here. All right. Thank you so
Thank
much.
thank you.
Okay. So let me start with you, Desmond. When we talk about leaders, we're also looking at skills. So, what are the key skills that leaders need to navigate and harness the power of technology in today's world? Desmond, if
Hello,
you can hear me.
Patricia. Can you take the question again?
Okay, so awesome. So I was asking what the uh, asking about the key leadership skills that you think leaders need to navigate technology and leadership effectively.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Um, so I think to start with, every leader would have to position his themselves as people who are more adaptable, because adaptability is one of the key things that you need when you want to exercise, these leadership skills, upfront with technology. The reason is this: it is very difficult for you to even be able to deal with a culture change that comes with trying to implement technology industry wide or even from a country point of view. Technology comes with cutting a lot of behavioral traits from people and how people work, how people get value for their productivity. And therefore, if you are one leader that do not have adaptability as one of your skill, and adaptability includes how you are going to pull people along, how you're going to be able to get them to move from one state of mind to another state of mind, and how to improve their productivity. So if you do not have that skill, or if you are more bereft of that skill, then there's going to be the real challenge when it comes to the adoption of technology as part of the things that you do as a leader. Consider it in so many ways. Are you going to put technology in television streaming? Is technology going to be part of maybe your financial operations? Is technology going to be part of maybe your logistical operations? Whatever business you are in, the one key thing that you need to have to be able to drive technology in your environment as a leader is to have that soft skill of adaptability. Somebody who is malleable, who is able to, move around and know, you know your onions, you know how your business run, you know how your operations run, you know your people, you know your culture, and it's become easier for you to be able to, dovetail that. Two other things that I'll also say is that there definitely has to be some level of digital literacy. Now, I've seen organizations failed just because the leader that put on those technology projects themselves did not understand the where they want to go. They pretty much following the market. And when I say digital literacy, I'm not talking about the basics. I'm talking digital literacy in huge context where your literacy must fit into what you do. So if you decide that your conventional banking products should now be online products that will be delivered through mobile apps, through web platforms, to your consumers, to your customers, you should understand the effect of that technology, including downtimes, including the bottlenecks that it will come with. Like Femi said, the positives and the negatives, just to put up a summary on that. And then finally, I think another skill that I would also like to bring to bear is strategic thinking. So adaptability, your digital literacy, appreciation of your digital literacy, which, like I said, is more to do with your own understanding of your environment and where technology fits in and how it's going to give you that productivity. And then you kind of like add your strategic thinking to it, and you should be good to go. So that's my opinion on this very first question.
Thank you very much, Femi. A follow-up question. We are told that there are people who were born before computers, right? Which means that
I
naturally
can hear.
they are
Is it
not
just me?
technology savvy, and they are. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear her.
Okay, Desmond, can you hear me, please?
Desmond, you are on mute. I
Yes,
think you are
Desmond,
on
please
mute, Desmond.
unmute if you can hear me. Okay, so I was asking a follow-up question. So Femi, maybe you can take it out for me. We are told that there are people who naturally are not technology savvy because at the time that they were born, technology was nowhere, and they are leaders today. What can they do to leverage technology in their leadership role?
Thanks, Patricia. I think that's a very good question, and I am in agreement with what Desmond has said about leadership and technology. I don't think leaders necessarily need to be programmers or technical people before they can take decisions on technology. I hope I'm audible, please. Yeah.
Yes, you are.
So they don't necessarily have to be programmers or
Yes, we can
technical
hear you,
people.
Femi.
Okay. We have instances of leaders that were not technical, they went ahead to make their mark. Leaders like Jack Welch of General Electric, he wasn't a technical person, but he was able to learn and understand technology and to be able to use it to drive GE's business. And at a point, I think he was voted the best CEO in the United States. Another person is Indra Nooyi, who was the CEO of PepsiCo. I don't think she was a technical person, but she was able to make her mark. I think, like Desmond said, leaders have to be open to change. Things are changing. Things are not going to be the way they used to be. If you are open to change, you are willing to learn, you are innovative, you can be a good leader that is using technology well. And Desmond also mentioned strategic thinking. Leaders have to be strategic in their thinking to be able to embrace technology and then use it wisely. Also, technological literacy is quite important. You don't have to drill deep down into the operations, but at the high level, you can understand what does this technology do, how does it do it, and how can we leverage it as an organization. Desmond also mentioned strategic thinking. Leaders have to be strategic in their thinking and say, we feel this technology will be useful to our operation and we have to adopt it. If we have to learn, we will learn. If we have to make some adjustments, we will make them. Once leaders are that open to change and they are willing to learn, I believe that they have what it takes to be able to use technology effectively. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And that is well said. I know somebody who himself is not that technology savvy, but then he has surrounded himself with people who are, and he allows them to take initiative, and whatever he needs technology to do, they
Yeah.
help him do that. And I think that is very good. So thank you, Femi, for that. Now, AI has come And then there are a lot of people who are afraid that AI is going to take their jobs, for which reason they are just panicking. Now, my question is, can technology replace traditional leadership? Can technology replace traditional leadership? I mean, in terms of the qualities that we are speaking about, or it has to just help leaders perform better. I don't know if Desmond, you take it up, and then if Francis Doc has anything to add, she can add.
All right. Okay. So my candid view about that is technology only would augment. It will augment traditional
Yeah.
leadership. There's absolutely no way that you would have technology replacing leadership specifically, because there's a lot of human instincts that goes into leadership, right? It's not always about, it's not ones and zeros, it's not always logical. There are decisions that
Yeah,
you take in leadership that is more to do with your immediate awareness
yeah,
of your
that's
environment. And for that, it's a special gift to human beings. In fact, that is why we are able to develop, that is why we are able to come up with these technologies, because it is part of our problem solving approach. So it will be far-fetched in my view to position yourself that, well, I put technology here and then it takes over and it guides everybody. Look, go back to the start of the industrial age and consider how factories were built and how the factory lines were structured. That's the beginning of technology, right? So one person puts the box together, pushes it forward, another person packs it, pushes it forward, another person takes out from there. Today, AI can
yeah.
do that end to end. But at what point does AI replaces the supervisor? It doesn't.
Good
It
question.
doesn't, because someone still makes sure that even the automated inventory system is being managed by somebody. Someone goes to the board to make a case about strategic direction, where the product is going to go to, where the service is going to go to. So technology comes in to just help and make that people in leadership are able to do their work more effectively. And I think Femi hammered on that point. It's about effectiveness. You bring technology
Yeah.
in, you infuse technology into your operations to make it effective. If your productivity level is 50% today and you implement your technology properly, you are most likely going to have your productivity increasing by 10-20%, depending on the factors that you put in implementing that technology and what the outcome of that technology is supposed to bring you in the first place. So my straightforward answer to that question is that technology augments, whether it's AI, whether it's blockchain, whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's cloud computing, whether it's quantum computing, whatever the technology is. And at least with my practice and engagement in most of these technologies, even when it's about leadership, it augments, it does not replace leadership. And I don't see that happening anyway, unless like they said, we developed robots who get to the level of sentience and they have human instincts and their environment are aware about the human feelings. But I dare say we might, if we are going to get there, some millions of miles away. And yeah, I mean, the literature is there for you to review concerning the experts
Yeah.
about AI. A lot of people are discussing about AI, mimicking human beings, but the experts are telling you these are not sentience. They are not there yet. They don't have that emotional quality that a leader comes to the table with. They don't have it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, yes, technology has its place, and human beings also we have our place. And if technology will do anything, it will help us be better leaders. So, as
Yeah.
leaders, let's not be afraid, rather, let's embrace. That was why I was happy when you mentioned adaptability, you and Femi, talking about the fact that because if you don't adapt to the changing times, if you don't embrace technology, you'll be left behind, definitely. And if you lose your job, it will not be because of technology. It will be because you refuse to embrace
So,
technology.
yeah.
So thank you so much for that. Technology is here to enhance our work and to make us better leaders. Let's take advantage of it. Let's embrace it. Let's learn. Let's adapt. And let's run with technology as leaders, no matter the level that you are at. Thank you so much for that. That brings me to my next question. And before that, I'd like to acknowledge In God We Trust. Thank you for joining us. She says leaders have to be strategic in their thinking, quoting Femi and Desmond. Well said. Thank you so much. She said, true, Desmond, robots cannot replace human beings. Human because of leadership. Right, that is it. Thank you. Please, if you have just joined us, this is the Global Leadership Group, Leadership Talk. And please drop your name and your comments where you are watching us from. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section. We'll pick them up and then answer them. Now, Doc, help us understand this. How can leaders ensure that technological advancements are inclusive and they benefit everyone on the team?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Patricia. I hope you can hear me. So, honestly, I think they can do this by, when you think of they encouraging very diverse perspective in the decision making process, right? They can do this by ensuring that some of the solutions are considering the needs of all the team members. You can't really do away without that. When you think of things like they providing, for example, a comprehensive programming or training programs that would ensure that everyone across board has equal opportunities to really develop their skill sets when it comes to these new technologies that they are leveraging to be operational or to make their work effective. I think they can also actually do this by really investing in the development or in the team members. How do I mean by this, right? Providing training opportunities for them, making sure that employees can be able to tap into certain trainings that would better help them align with the technology advancements that are coming up. And so here I want to point out like two examples. I've mentioned the fact that they can encourage like diverse perspectives, right? Let's say during the design phase of a new software, a leader can really say, okay, we want to assemble some kind of cross-sectional team. We want to include members from different departments. We want to bring everyone on board. This way, we know we have diverse backgrounds, we have diverse departments, because at the end of the day, all these departments are part of the organization and the company, right? And so I believe that by incorporating these perspectives, you can really be able to tap into the various demographic, the various experiences. And as a team, you can actually identify some potential biases. You can also ensure that the final product that you're going to leverage, that the organization is going to use, meets everyone's needs or meets the needs that would help ultimately the organization. When you think about it from the training perspective that I mentioned, right, the opportunities, I think as leaders or as organization, the leaders can actually offer some kind of specialized training session for people, right? That way they can have employees or they can have these people tap into the specific skill sets they need to leveraging the technology that they're bringing on board. And I think it would help ensure that all team members understand how these technology tools work and how they can make the organization efficient overall, and not just bring in tools or technologies to help them, but really people don't know how to use it, right? And so those are those are the two things that comes to mind. And I think overall this is really going to help benefit the entire community and the entire organization as a whole.
Awesome. Thank you, Doc. I don't know if you can hear me. Right. So thank you very much, Doc. And thank you, Edwin Adai. You are watching us from East Legon, Accra. Thank you for joining us. If you have any question, please drop it at the comment section and we'll pick it up. So let's talk about, Femi, let's talk about emotional intelligence, leadership, and technology. So help us. How can leaders ensure that they are using the skill of emotional intelligence? And what role does emotional intelligence play in technology disruptions as far as
Yeah,
leadership is concerned?
thank you, Patricia, for that question. One thing about technology is that it is actually disruptive. And anything that is disruptive can lead to a lot of stress for people. For people that don't have a background in technology, like Dr. Francisca said, it could be a bit scary for them. And so the leader needs to show empathy. Empathy is really very important for people that like that. So the leader needs to provide adequate guidance and support for people that are in that category, because when disruption happens, a lot of stress could go with it. So empathy is key, and understanding also that everybody is not coming from the same background. Training is key. Training is really very important. Like Dr. Francisca also says that people are coming from diverse backgrounds. You can't just assume that everybody knows it all. You need to encourage open communication and provide comprehensive training for the people also. Then the leader also needs to motivate and inspire the people to embrace change. Because if people embrace change, whatever technological tools that are being put in place, they are not likely to use it, because, in fact, some of them can, if we are not careful, they will sabotage it. So if there is no open communication, if there is no empathy, if the leader does not build trust and confidence and resilience, then he might have it very difficult to convince people. So these are some of the things that the leader needs to: empathy, encourage open communication, motivate the team, let them see that there is a need to embrace change. Let them see, the role of the leader is to build a vision for the organization and to communicate that vision and inspire trust. If
Yeah.
those things don't
Yeah.
happen, people are not likely to embrace whatever technology that is being put in place. Those would be my opinion. Yeah.
True, true. Thank you. And it will take somebody with high levels of emotional intelligence to be able to do this,
Yeah.
Femi, to be able to uh, ensure that you carry people along, you're empathetic, because everybody learns differently. Even in classroom, sometimes teachers will think that everybody should pick it at the same time, but no, it doesn't happen like that. people
No, it doesn't
people
happen
are
like that.
different in their thinking.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you need
Yeah.
to carry everyone along, and
Mm.
to be able to do that, you have to be a leader with a high level of emotional intelligence. Thank you. I don't know
Yeah.
whether Desmond or Doc, you want to add anything to this?
From
Okay.
understanding the team dynamics, but I think it's just the way Femi has presented it. So
Yes, yes. Well presented, Femi. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, Abayomi Olumu. I hope I got it right. You're watching from Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you for joining us. So sometimes we think that some organizations are over relying on technology. For example, you go to the telcos, you go to the big companies, you realize that you pick your phone to call, you're expecting a human being to answer you, but no, you realize that you go to different, so many stages to get somebody to talk to you. Sometimes you don't even get anybody to talk to you. And by the time you realize you're frustrated, you end the call. So, can there be over reliance on technology? If there can be, what can be done to mitigate against it? And first, also, what would be the advantages or the disadvantages of that? I don't know whether that's why you want to take it for us.
all right, okay. So I think first and foremost, the issue here will be dependency risk. Dependency risk, because you're talking about reliance and over reliance. So it means that for the most part, in everything
Over
that we do,
reliance.
exactly everything that we do, we are looking at technology to deliver that. So I mean, from project management to typical managerial to strategic thinking, if you do your risk analysis, anything that you over rely on develops what you call the dependency risk. So that is where you try to
Yeah.
mitigate from. Say, for instance, you are operating in a banking environment. The core banking is actually what drives the business. So the question is, if the core banking goes down, what do we do? So what you try to do from the technology, the leadership decision there is about business continuity, not about the technology per se, even though you will be solving it with different
Yes.
technologies. Because we're talking about leadership, we need to sort of like diffuse leadership from technology itself, because leadership drives technology. You know, if you have your leadership right, then you can get technology to do what you want it to do for you. And that's why the over reliance develops or ends up becoming a dependency risk. So where you have a dependency risk, in the case where it's a business driver, the question is, when that dependency fails, what do you do? The question will be answered with business continuity. So you might have to put in place business continuity structures,
Yeah.
maybe a backup of that particular technology, or what we call human in the loop, where you put human-centered judgments. Like for instance, in the factory, this is the factory scenario that I gave earlier, which for now, what I've been taken over by AI. You have AI systems that are running some of these factories. AIs are running hotels. They are preparing meals. They are serving customers and the rest. But you still need that supervisor in the environment. It is because of the human in the loop. Because that dependency risk can be so many things. It could be the impact of the rights of
Yeah.
the consumer, which could cause the consumer to take his business away. So even though you're using technology
Yeah.
to deliver, technology could be that bottleneck in the delivery chain. And you gave an example with customer service. I get tired when I call Bank of America, for instance, and for 2-3 minutes I'm speaking to robots. Listen, don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
90% of the time the robots have the answer and we are done. And I didn't need to speak to an agent. But I get like into a very dire situation where I need to speak to an agent. Maybe you consider a fraud being perpetrated on your credit card, or something more important that you think that you could, and then you have a robot giving you options which do not align with your real world scenario, because these robots have been
Yeah.
built logic, and you are dealing with something more specific which is not in the options the robot is giving you. And then it's taking you probably close to 3 to 5 minutes to get a human to interact with. So that over reliance, that dependency risk can cause dissatisfaction with the consumer, and he will take his business somewhere else where maybe he gets added value, which comes from a more interactive, relationship with human beings. And that's why we started off by saying that
Exactly.
when we discuss leadership, we need to treat technology as technology, and leadership more of a human-centered engagement, which definitely would have to drive the way we even put technology into our business. So in summary, is a dependency risk. If we are summing up what the risk is, I would skew more to dependency risk, because largely that's where I see the challenge coming from. And the solution would be how you treat this from the leadership angle, whether it's business continuity, whether it's human in the loop, to take care of some of the bottlenecks that technology itself brings along the way. I don't know if you've ever driven an electric car, but if it tells you the mileage to the next battery station, woe unto you if you don't make it there.
That's it.
So
Woe unto you.
it leaves a human being to factor out how much time is going to get me to the next point, and whether I should take a detour or
Yeah.
just keep driving.
Yeah.
These are not decisions taken by robots, not at all.
Exactly.
Mm.
Of course. Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll go on a short break, but before we do, let me read the comments. I have okay. I think Fasami Daniel, you're watching from Lagos, Nigeria. Femi, you are bringing the our Nigerian brothers out. Thank you. Okay. Abayomi Olumu says over reliance can on tech remove the human touch, displaces the use of instincts and decision making that comes from human judgments. That is very true. And I think it's complementing what Desmond said. Edwin Ada say we are already in an era where tech is driving industry and the general business world. We have seen many businesses suffer due to fraud through tech. Okay, it's a question. So, should AI really enhance leadership processes? So, I'll read the question again. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, then we answer that question, right? So, Femi, Edwin is saying we are already in an era where tech is driving industry and the general business world. We have seen many businesses suffer due to fraud through technology. Should AI really, in quotes, enhance leadership processes? So when we come back from the break, we will answer Edwin's question. So we go on a short break and then we come back. Okay, my producer tells me to go ahead. Okay, right. So I'll go ahead, please. So we can answer the question. Any of us can do that. Femi, Desmond, Doc, whoever wants to answer that question, please.
Yeah.
I'll make an
Okay.
input
Okay,
and then you
Desmond.
can go.
Oh, all right. Femi, please go
Okay.
ahead, Femi.
Okay. Thanks, Patricia, Desmond. The challenge really is not with AI. The challenge has to do with the human beings that are behind AI. When Desmond was speaking before, he said technology cannot replace; it can only augment. I had something from Bill Gates. He said if you have a flawed process, a process that is bad, he said technology will only amplify that process. If you have a good
Yes.
process, technology will amplify it also. So the technology is not the problem. It is the process and the people that are behind the technology. And this is really very important. If you've observed, Pat, you observed that so many fintechs in Africa are failing. They go and collect money from venture capitalists or whatever. They deploy all this money, 2 years, 3 years. You don't hear about them again. The money is wasted because the people that are behind that, they lack leadership skills. They think it's only technology. Technology is not an end in itself. It is a means to an end. So that's why many of those fintechs there was a story I read about the Google guys when they were going to start Sergey Brin and Larry Page. When they were going to start Google, they met with a consultant, and the consultant told them, he said, "You have fantastic ideas where technology is concerned." He said, "But you don't have management experience. Google will not go anywhere without that experience. You need people that are experienced in management to hold you by the hand and guide you." That was why they went to employ a managing director, Eric Schmidt, who became the managing director of Google. He wasn't the founder of Google, but the Google guys were willing to, they were willing to defer to him because he had a lot of management experience. So Desmond said before, technology cannot replace that human spark. Technology cannot replace what leaders will do. Leaders have to do leadership, and then technology will augment. So the challenge is not with AI. AI is good, it's a good tool, just like many other technological tools. But they are tools. Human beings have to deploy them, and they have to know when is the appropriate time to deploy those technologies. So AI is good, robotics is good, artificial intelligence is so many things, good technologies, but human beings have to be responsible. Otherwise, we'll have a lot of crisis on our hands. Yeah, thank you.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Uh, just like money, I mean, leadership, technology or AI does not have a character. It takes the character of the user, right? Just as they say, money does not have a character.
Exactly.
Money takes the character of the user. So
Yeah,
I'm just relating it to just Femi, what you said. Technology in itself is not bad. It's the one behind the technology that we should fear. So whether
yeah,
it,
yeah,
it gets to the hands of bad people, that is where you have the fraud. But if it
yeah,
gets to the hands of good people, then you are good to go. Thank you so much
exactly.
for that.
Yeah.
Edwin, I hope your question has been answered. So let me come to you, Desmond. Let's look at what strategies leaders can employ to foster a culture of continuous learning. Um, I think Femi mentioned training. Doc also mentioned training. when it comes to embracing, make sure that everybody is involved in technology. You don't leave people, you train them and all that. So what strategies can leaders employ to foster a culture of continuous learning and adaptation in the face of technological evolution, if you might?
Sure. So recently I did a work which I entitled User Empowerment, and I tried to delve into how we use awareness, training, and education to empower users, in a technology-based environment. And I argued that awareness is not training, and training is not education. Even
Mm.
if you look at them if you look at them from timeline point of view, awareness is a point in time. You want the person to know something exists. Training is because you want them to have
Yeah.
some level of technical proficiency, so you take a longer time to bring them up to speed. Education is when you formalize that process and try to accredit them for what they have done. Now, for you to be able to promote upskilling, then it means in an environment where leadership works, these are modules that must be infused on how you deliver the upskilling, how you get people to adapt technology, use it, and use it effectively. Now, Dr. Francisca mentioned earlier on about environments where diverse people that work different level of knowledge, and she also mentioned about technology being deployed and value not coming out of it. It goes back to the empowerment argument. How do you get your
Yeah.
environment to be able to make the best use out of the technologies that you have deployed? If you don't upskill them, then there's no way they're going to come up to speed. I take an example. I always like to throw back the examples. It used to be, especially back in Ghana. I don't know about Nigeria, but I'm sure this story may relate. But back in Ghana, we had what we call the typing pool, and I'm speaking in the probably
Yeah.
mid to late 80s. We had a typing pool
80s. Yeah.
We
where you
had it.
go there
Yeah.
and say what you want, and somebody types it out for you.
Yeah.
And this was
Typists.
a typist, good. And these typists were working from the typing pool, and there were a lot. You know, nobody ever thought typing pools will be no more.
Yeah.
But I saw computers enter the environment in the 90s. In fact, Ghana
Yeah.
had a law then just after one of our military regimes, which was trying to push the adaptation of electronic data processing within the government sector. And so that was more like an opener to getting computers into the environment. And when computers entered, there was the argument whether we need it or not.
Not.
Where are we with typing pools? They don't exist anymore. Where are typists? They are not there. Where are stenographers? They are not there. But I had an auntie who was a typist who had to quickly start to look at what computers do. I mean, she was heading towards retirement, but as far back as I remember, she worked with computers probably 5 to 6 years before she retired. So she retained a level of that expertise that she has in producing documents using a typewriter to using computers to produce those same documents. But she equally had mates who fell off because of that upskilling. So this example is purely to put it in the context of leadership. You are running an enterprise, you're running an environment, you're running a business, you're running a home, and you see that things are changing. Someone says AI, can it really enhance leadership skills? The question is, what does AI do? If you break down AI into pieces, it's not a complex conversation apart from people who are writing the algorithm. If you break down AI into pieces, the
Yeah.
brain of artificial intelligence is large language modules. These large language models contains data sets. They are things that you and I have done: images, text, videos, pictures. It's all over the place, and it's being put together into these large language modules, where AI now goes through and pretty much begin to understand how were you doing this, or how did you write an essay all through these years. So it sifts through millions of these records, and then it builds a way of presenting it to you. That is why when it comes to decision making, AI always lacks context. And if you follow AI very well, you will know that it hallucinates. Even those in academia, you do research and you see that AI gives you citations that do not exist. Why? Because it is just regurgitating.
Yeah,
Of course, it's true. It's just regurgitating to you how citations are written, and not necessarily that these
yeah,
citations exist. So over the years, it's beginning to develop. Oh, when they say citation, they actually mean I have to find a text from a book or a material of something that somebody has said, and I have to represent it. When they say citation, they just don't mean I should draft something to them that looks like citation. So AI is learning, right? But it's learning because of leadership. This leadership has to do with people who are
yeah.
in charge of making sure these large language models do what they intended to do. So back to the very simple question. If you don't upskill from the typist conversation to AI complexity, if you don't upskill, there is no way your team, no matter how diverse they are, no matter how smart they are, will bring productivity out of technology. You need to upskill. And the best way to do it is to adopt a user empowerment strategy, which would fuse all the necessary models, the short term, the just in time, the short term, the long term ways of empowering users towards technology. That way, they upskill, they can still take up the job when technology comes without necessarily losing out in the bigger picture.
Thank you, Desmond. Doc, you've been quiet for too long, so right. So I want to bring you in. If you have anything to add to this, how the strategies that leaders can adapt to foster a culture of continuous learning. Desmond has said a lot. What do you have to say about that?
I mean, you just mentioned it. Desmond has a lot of. I think we should leave it there because he's really given us some good gems, and so let's continue.
All right. So then that leads me to how leaders can effectively leverage data and analytics to inform their decision making processes without sacrificing human intuition. Doc, how can leaders effectively leverage data analytics to inform their decision making processes without sacrificing human intuition, if you like, human empathy?
Sure, I have a simple answer for you. I think overall, we need to really, or leaders need to combine that data insights with the human insights. You can never depend solely on one. At the end of the day, balancing, there should be a balancing act, right? So balancing,
Yeah.
the data insights versus the human insights, I think overall would give um, a great way to approach this, or it would be a great way to approach this overall.
Right. Thank you. Let me go back to the comment section. Ikechukwu is watching us from Nigeria. Thank you for coming. And he says, in my opinion, leadership and technology are not opposing forces, but rather two
Mm,
sides of the same coin in
yeah.
today's world, most definitely.
Mm,
And he continues, leadership provides the vision and direction, and technology empowers leaders to achieve their goals and navigate a complex landscape. And I think our guests have said this in different ways tonight or this
mm.
day. So thank you so much, Ike, for that. In God we trust as great leadership talk. I'm enjoying it. Thank you so much. Joy Morrison Tego says, awesome, Mr. Israel. Thank you, Joy. Um, okay, thank you so much. Right. So let's continue with the conversation. Now we are looking at remote work. I am an HR practitioner, and until COVID happened, we were so fixated with people coming to work physically. If you don't come to work, you don't get paid, sort of. We want to see you physically present. Now, COVID happened, and we realized that there's something else that we can do. People can still be productive without necessarily being physically present at the workplace. So, what are the implications of remote work and virtual teams on leadership in technology driven environment? Um, Doc, Can you take that out for us, and any of our guests can add on, please? Okay, am I, Doc? If you are speaking, it means you are muted. Otherwise, if Femi, you can.
Can you
Okay,
hear me?
Doc, please go ahead. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, sure. So I was saying that when it comes to this, I think one of the key things is that leaders really need to prioritize, strong communication and trust in building, you know, ultimate the trust they put in their employees or their team members. Yes,
Yeah,
we all had to, one way or the other, work from home because COVID happened. And I think there are some organizations that are moving now into the office. Now we can see some roles are opening up for hybrid opportunities. However, I think for organizations that have their employees still maybe working from home or even doing the hybrid, it boils down to the communication and the trust they have in the employees or in the people getting the work done, right? So at the end of the day, I believe that leaders need to ensure that there's a clear channel where they can communicate. They need to look into things like leveraging some technologies that would provide them with like very seamless collaborations across projects that are being done, across deliverables that needs to happen. And also when you actually build the trust that I'm talking about, it becomes very vital amongst the teams. They know that certain things are non-negotiable. They know that at the end of the day, we have to make sure that in terms of information, in terms of transparent communication, in terms of accountability, these are things that are non-negotiable, and these are things that employees or team members would be able to understand well if it's coming from leadership, and if leadership has a clear strategy, a clear plan that is laid out to help with all these things being very effective. Some leaders can choose to really adapt to certain management styles that would overall kind of empower the team members as well. So at the end of the day, it's not going to be one size fits all, but with time, they will try to see what are some of the new things that we can adapt, we can adjust, we can change to help build that communication that overall we're going to get our remote workers or our remote employees deliver at the end of the day. So those are a couple of things that actually come to mind. And really, when you look at this holistically, you can see that successfully navigating some of these challenges that might even come, regardless of you having the good communication or regardless of you having or putting in that measures to ensure the trust, you would be able to effectively bounce back or effectively come out of this overall. And that's a few pointers that I want to provide. I don't know if Femi or Desi this month has anything they want to add to it.
Yeah,
yes,
thanks,
thank you.
Dr. Francisca.
Femi,
Okay,
yeah.
please go ahead. Please.
No, Femi, go ahead. Add on if you
I
have.
think you actually hit the nail on the head concerning the impact of COVID on the way we work, the way we play, the way we learn. COVID changed all of that for us. So we were all forced into the remote or hybrid way of working. But the jury is still out as regards what impact this has on productivity. Are people more productive doing, remote work, or were they more productive when they had physical work? One observation that I have as a business owner is that there is the need for people to be responsible, because you tend to see that with remote work there is a place for people to hide. I know you've emphasized the need for trust. Yeah, trust is important, but when you analyze critically, our own understanding was you discover that some people are actually hiding behind remote work not to be that productive for the organization. And it's not only our observation. A company like IBM also observed that there was a time they had to call everybody back and say, we are not doing this remote stuff again because people were hiding. The same thing for Tesla. We had that same observation, and what we did was to introduce what we call anchor days. Out of 5 days in a week, twice you have to show up in the office. You have to show up in the office twice in a week. You can do remote in three, so that we ensure that we are productive. So remote work has come to stay, no doubt, but there is the need also to measure people's KPIs, measure what that people are actually working when they say they are working. One of the benefits of remote work is work-life balance. We can't take it, we can't take that out. But the organization also has to be protected one way or the other. Those will be my addition to what Dr. Francisca has said.
Thank you so much, Doc, and thank you, Femi, for that. Indeed, remote work has come to stay. And actually, you have people who apply for jobs and they opt for either hybrid or remote. And you realize that if you put in place that, we are talking about technology and leadership. So if as a leader you put in place the right technologies and make sure that people are, when they are not supervised, so that is why check-ins are important in order. But you're also careful not to micromanage. And if you're not careful, you realize that it will really be micromanagement. But thank you for that. Yes, we need to also be mindful. So a hybrid will be fine. And trust is important, Doc. Thank you for saying that. And the fact that open communication, is when that people having virtual meetings, people are having virtual hangouts and all that. So it's good, but let's make sure that we are actually being productive. So if you are a leader, make sure you are using the right tools to ensure your remote workers are productive at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And ensuring work-life balance is key because mental health is becoming an issue. And so people think that if you have at least 1 or 2 days working remotely, it helps. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so Joy says that's very true, Doc. Thank you, Joy. In God we trust. Well said, Doc. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so tech law. Okay, Desmond. All right. So the productivity of work is connected to the motivation to deliver. This involves leadership, ensuring visibility over the work, and building trust within the delivery chain. Technology
Yeah.
is still the just enabler, and
Yeah.
unproductive workforce remains unproductive even with technology. That is so true. That is so true. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Our time is almost up. Maybe my last question, then you give me your final words, and has to do with cyber security. It is a big issue. Is a big issue. How can leaders maintain cyber security and data privacy while embracing digital transformation? Desmond, and maybe Femi or Doc can chip in if they want to.
Okay, so my reaction would be that first of all, if you look at cybersecurity from a leadership point of view, you want to view it from visibility. For leadership, you cannot protect what you don't see. You cannot protect what you don't have control over. So whether it's on-premise infrastructure you are managing or remote working infrastructure you are managing, it's still about visibility. How many workforce do you have, right? So the leadership strategy thinking is looking at, if I protect my internal servers with maybe firewalls and UTMs, unified threat management systems, and endpoint security and manage detection and response, name all the technology, you have all of them. If they are on-prem, if I carry my device out, what happens when I'm not within the environment and I have corporate data and I'm moving out there? So visibility means that the leader would prefer a holistic approach into cybersecurity and data privacy management. So that's why policies are not just papers or documents. They are actually a visionary thinking. They are the mission, vision, the strategic thinking behind the implementation of your cybersecurity tools or your cybersecurity infrastructure to protect that crown jewels that you have internally. Data privacy is it's more of your adherence to various regulatory regimes to make sure that whilst you process personal data, it does not infringe on the rights of these data subjects whose data you manage. So if you look at it from a leadership point of view, I think it's two things for me. One, visibility, understand your environment and what is involved, who is where, how many workforce are there, what kind of data are they communicating on, what platforms are you using, what operating system are they on, and then now you drill down to look at the security modules that you put in place. I'm sure Doc might want to speak about things about defense in depth, where you're trying to move all the way from the cloud to the data that is being held within the environment, and the various technologies that you want to put in place. And then finally, once you are able to have that visibility, and you put controls in there, you should be able to monitor to improve your environment. So it's not a one size fits all. It's going to work depending on what the leader sees in his own environment. And I meant that to say the visibility, which I've discussed already, without belaboring the point. So maybe if my co-panelists have something to add up, that would be great.
Thank you, Desmond. Femi,
Yes, I think Desmond,
you want to add on
Doc,
before Doc comes here, or you want Doc?
yeah, he's spoken a lot about that, and he's spot on. Like we said when we started, technology is a double-edged sword. It has its positive sides. It can enhance, we can use it to build business as a good tool. But the downside also is that bad guys can take advantage of it and swing people and do damages. So every organization, every leader must have a cybersecurity strategy, not just strategy, but also an implementation, which is all encompassing. Desmond has mentioned some of them. The first thing is they must have the right tools in place to measure what is happening, the firewalls, endpoint security, multi-factor authentication. There are so many of these tools. They need to be aware of them and ensure that they are employed. Number two, there has to be data privacy policies. These policies are really very important. What policies have we set in place to ensure that we monitor people's data, that we don't use, release data anyhow? This is really very important. And also create awareness, because some of the users are not aware. Somebody comes, is asking for all your login details and whatever. Because you are not aware, you start releasing those things to them and they do damages. The other thing is that leaders need to stay informed about the threats. New threats keep coming out on a daily basis. Yesterday's knowledge is not enough. It's a constant and never-ending improvement, gathering knowledge, getting to know what is happening, monitoring trends. And as we put some of these things in place, I think we should be able to curb at least most of the threats that are coming from the bad guys. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Doc.
Yes, I think Desmond and Femi has said it all. But one key thing that I want to reiterate has to do with the training or the continuous education, or just the mere fact that both of them highlights we have to be aware of some of these things happening. For example, the threats and for example, even leadership, making sure that the team understands and know what's going on. We are aware that some organizations have like trainings, like phishing trainings, just to boost that awareness and that training, right? One of the things that I want to highlight is when we talk of trainings, when we talk of staying up to date, when we talk of leadership needs to know, the threats landscape and what's going on. I want listeners or viewers to understand that it's not rocket science. It's not like going to grab like 1,000-page textbook and reading to keep yourself up to date, right? Sometimes it's good to pick the low-hanging fruits. And what I mean by that is it could be a podcast. There's so many podcasts that share on a daily basis things that are happening in the cybersecurity space, right? It could be a blog post, or it could be a cybersecurity expert like Herc Security. You can follow him. They post articles, they post blog. It could be you reading like a 2 minutes, 5 minutes every day article to keep yourself updated on what's going on, right? And it could also be just taking some free training, some free webinars, joining programs like this that we're having, right? Just to be familiar and to educate yourself and to bring yourself up to speed, and not going to think that you have to read that 1,000 page paper or 1,000 page document to keep yourself updated. And so that's one thing I wanted to highlight. There's so many podcasts, so many good materials out there that we can leverage. And for organizations as well too, they should really invest in, their employees actually tapping into some of these trainings. It could be, SaaS trainings where they can enroll them, they can pay, they can meet them halfway, they can give them certain incentives. If you are able to take this kind of training or this kind of certification, this is the reimbursement or this is the incentive we're going to provide. And I think overall, we can actually meet the goal, or we can actually get there when it comes to how leaders are maintaining some of these cybersecurity and data parties. Because it's not one stone cuts all, but it's the little things that we put together that makes it one holistic way to look at this. So that's my 2 cents.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is more than 2 cents, really. Thank you very much for
Yeah.
for for that. Yes, we need to open up for learning. The opportunities are there. I remember
Mm.
those days when I was doing my thesis. I had to travel from one place to another, physical libraries, to get information for my thesis. But today you can just sit behind your computer with data and you are good to go. You can learn a lot. So let's keep learning. Let's keep learning. Doc has mentioned vlogs, blogs, podcasts, and all that, so that we can learn. Because see, sometimes we think that if you don't know, it won't hurt you. But if it's what you don't know that will actually hurt you, right? So let's be aware and let's open up to learn more. Thank you so much. Final words briefly from all of you, and then we can call it a day or a night, depending on where you are. Final words, let's from
Ladies
Desmond,
first
then
for
Femi,
final
and then
words.
Doc.
Doc, please go
Doc,
ahead.
Yes.
Doc will go first.
Okay, Doc.
I think, yeah, I think for me, my final words would be, you know, technology is great. Um, it can be, as much as it's great, it can be a double-edged sword. I think my key takeaway for everyone would be, don't be an island. Tap into technology, see how you can leverage it and make good use of it, whether it's for your personal use, whether it's for your organization, whether it's you leveraging it to ultimately improve, your leadership skills. Tap into it and share whatever it is that you've learned today, whatever nuggets that you've been able to learn today, share for others to actually also tap into it as well.
Thank you, Doc. Desmond, then we come
Yes.
to Femi.
Right. So, being a leadership session, I focus more on leadership, and this is to everybody else that pretty much thinks that, oh well, my job is operations, my job is with the technical environment, and whether that technical environment is finance, whatever it is, whatever operations that you belong to, I'm here to tell you that you need to start thinking from a leadership perspective. It solves two problems. It lets you understand the direction of the people
Yeah.
that are actually leading you, because, like they said, knowledge is power. If you understand what leadership is and what you're supposed to do, it's easier to bridge that gap between you and your leadership. Then the second advantage is that it prepares you for your own leadership, because woe unto you when you get to the opportunity where you
Yeah.
have to take decisions, but you have relegated yourself so much to the background that you never think it's going to happen to you. You get into a leadership position and everything just breaks up. It breaks up not because of the technology you bought, it breaks up because you don't understand where you're going. You lack that leadership quality. So we need to
Yeah.
develop that no matter what role that we are playing now, just so we can connect with the people that are leading us, and we could also prepare to lead others. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank you,
Desmond.
Desmond. Femi.
Yeah, okay. So for me, one of the positive sides of technology is that I'm meeting new people this evening. I'm meeting Doc
Yeah.
and Dr. Francisca. I'm meeting Desmond, both of them in the United States. I'm in Nigeria. I'm meeting Patricia. I'm meeting Happy. I'm meeting Chris. These are some of the benefits of technology, bringing people from different areas together, and forging a relationship. So technology is good when used well, and like we have said, it is downside. I mean, you could imagine the overhead that will be involved if we were to organize this event physically. But we've organized this
Yeah.
and we are discussing across many regions. That's one of the benefits of technology, bringing people together. So, like we said, technology is not an end in itself, it's a means to an end. The downsides, every leader must ensure that they cover it so that we don't allow people to mess up a good tool that can be used for effective purposes. So leaders need to be aware. Leaders, need to leverage their leadership skills of emotional intelligence, building rapport, vision, relational management, and relationship management, and all of that, and then augment it with technology. Technology cannot replace leadership; it can only augment it. Thanks everybody for your time this evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Let me read the last comments that we can close this session. Eja Ano says, remote work is a way to go if staff or workers are diligent with proper monitoring mechanisms in place. Spot on, Eja, spot on. Thank you for that. And this one agrees with you 100%. Thank you. In God We Trust says, yes, awareness and continuous training is the key to reduce cyber threat. Indeed, it is. Joy says, great submissions from you, Femi, Doc, and to you, Desmond. God bless you for sharing this. For sharing, this is great. Thank you, Joy, for coming and for learning. In God We Trust said, great summary, Dr. Boatin. Technology is great. We need to leverage on it indeed. Thank you, Desmond. Great info shared. Developing your leadership qualities. That is Joy. Awesome. And thank you, Femi. Great summary. Yes, thank you. Afiz says, great session. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for making the time to join us today. Thank you, Dr. Francisca Opoku-Boateng. Thank you, Femi. Thank you, Desmond, for making the time to be here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Happy, for being here and for joining making sure that this happens. From Happy coordinated everything. I just came in to moderate. Thank you, Happy, for doing that. And thank you, Chris, working behind the scenes to make sure that we are live and going on well. And thank you, everyone. In all you're getting, get knowledge, get understanding. May you have a fruitful week. God bless us all. See you again next month. Remember, this is brought to you by the Global Leadership Group, which is a leadership company. We are in different countries, and we are also making sure that leaders, we catch them young and we grow with you. So check us up on all our social media handles, the Global Leadership Group Limited. Visit our website and get to know more about that. Watch out for our summit coming up soon this year, the Global Leadership Group Summit coming up this year. And watch out for our public training programs, the master class in leadership. You don't want to miss this. Thank you, everyone, and God bless us all. See you next month. Bye for now.
Thank you, everybody.